Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming here to our hackathon. I'll just give you a quick introduction on what Daytona is and hopefully how you can use it in your hackathon project. So I'm Vedran Jukic. I'm the CTO and co-founder at Daytona. And Daytona is a secure and elastic infrastructure for running your AI-generated code. First of all, some numbers. We are open source. This is better. Thank you. We are open source project with more than 30,000 stars. We run since lately more than 2 million sandboxes per day on our SaaS platform. We are purposely built for autonomous AI agents. Of course, you can use us for general purpose compute as well, but our interface is tailored for agentic use case. And so why we build Daytona? AI agents tend to generate a lot of code, and that code is untrusted by default, and you need a secure and fast environment to enable your agents to operate autonomously while not compromising on security. Also, traditional providers, such as hyperscaler companies, cloud providers, they can offer you secure environments, but these are too slow compared to Daytona. So we built a kind of Lambda fast experience while also enabling you to use basically like a VM featured sandboxes. So our sandboxes are isolated, they're fast, and they're persistible. Also, we built basically the whole stack ourselves from the bottom up. So we don't, our compute nodes where these sandboxes run, these are not just like running on AWS, and we didn't just wrap them in our interface. We built the whole orchestrator down to the bottom, and that's why we are so fast and have a unique feature set. As said, lightning fast means that you can, if configured properly, you can create a sandbox in less than 100 milliseconds. Like that means like a fully operational sandbox that can execute code or do some other operation. All of our sandboxes are isolated and secure, and each sandbox operates in its own context. It doesn't know about other sandboxes, so you can run basically anything inside without compromising on security. We support massive parallelization, depending on your organizational quota, but some organizations using Daytona run thousands or even millions of parallel executions concurrently. Our sandboxes are stateful by design. Of course, you can use them for ephemeral purposes, but you can also use them for stateful purposes, meaning that the entire file system of a sandbox can be persisted. So not only a project directory, but if your agent or your application needs to install some dependencies, configurations on the operating system layer, these will all be persisted between sandbox lifecycle. Of course, they're customizable. So we have these snapshots, the feature that you can create on your own. That means that you can pre-bundle all the configuration, all the packages, all the dependencies, and when you create a sandbox from a snapshot, that sandbox immediately has all of these dependencies available. So it's like a template. You can think of it as like a Docker image, basically, that you can then reuse and create new sandboxes instantly with the configuration inside. We have multiple physical locations where we host our infrastructure. At the moment, we have the regions in the States and in the EU. Asia is upcoming, and hopefully will then expand to India, Africa, South America, depending on the customer requirements. So, as said, we are agent first. Our interface is tailored for agentic use case, and we have officially available libraries, SDK libraries for Python and TypeScript, which are really nice and are easily can be easily embedded into your agent's source code. I'll show a few examples later. We also have upcoming SDKs for Java, Elixir, Ruby, Go, and Rust. Also, we have an MCP server, which you can directly register to your agent and can be consumed like for prompting purposes. For traditional developers, or if you are using a programming language that is not supported by our current SDKs, you can use OpenAPI spec. So all of these functionalities are basically fully featured. So meaning like if you don't use our SDK, you can still use our OpenAPI spec and generate an API client traditionally and consume all the features. So here's a quick example on how you can execute the process synchronously in a sandbox using our SDK. So as you can see, it's just like one line of code. It executes a system command. You get a predictable output, like exit code and standard output. You can also use asynchronous execution for long-running processes. You can have as many as these in parallel as you need. And then you can control the flow. Also, asynchronous execution allows you to create executable sessions, which mean that you can run concurrent commands which run in the same context and then can share environment variables and so on. You can also stream the logs in real time, and you can then stream standard output, standard error, and so on. There's also, since recently we added a PTI support. So if you need an interactive session, you can also create that as well. So you can send input commands to the process running inside a sandbox. It's easy to manipulate file system with our toolbox. File system toolbox, you have all the file system operations, very predictable with very predictable outcomes. You basically don't need to parse the output from a command. You would traditionally need to run like using a bash or SSH. So it makes it very easy to manipulate files in the sandbox file system. There's also built-in Git support. Now you can, of course, use your own Git client and execute commands traditionally. But with our Git integration, it's easy to embed, for example, access to your private repositories without having to expose tokens in a sandbox. So it's a very secure way to clone a private repository without compromising on security. There is a built-in preview URL you can use to create URLs for basically any port. Your application is running in a sandbox, and then you can see the output in a browser, or you can curl or whatever you need. There's also a volume feature. That means that you can create volumes with pre-populated data sets, usually large data sets, attach them to sandboxes, and then sandboxes can have instant access to these large data sets. And you can also share data between sandboxes securely. When debugging, you can use SSH to access sandboxes, and then you can directly poke inside and see what's going on. You can also use a web terminal from our dashboard, which basically does the same thing without requiring you to like connect using your SSH client. Sandboxes have a first-class Docker support, meaning that you can run Docker inside. You can even run Docker Compose inside our sandboxes. You can build our sandbox snapshots from your existing Docker files, or you can convert your existing Docker image from your public or private container registry into a new snapshot and then reuse in Daytona. Since recently, we have also computer use primitives, so you can run full desktop applications inside sandboxes, and you can enable your agent to have a full control of the desktop. Some of the use cases for this would be like a graphic user of GUI applications, or running a fully featured browser inside and then controlling the input. Some of the use cases we've noticed our customers are using us for are for enforcement learning, data analysis, visualizations, coding agents, of course, evals, and so on. Just a very important note for anyone that wants to use Daytona. By default, when you create an account, our sandboxes have restricted networking. So this is for, the reason behind it is that when we started, people were like doing not so, let's say kind of, they misuse Daytona for some things that are like phishing or port scanning, so we needed to restrict the network by default. We enable that as soon as you reach tier 3. But for this hackathon, we have created a special coupon that you just need to reach out to me. I will give you the coupon, and then you will get unlocked networking with all other features enabled. So just keep in mind, if you start using us, if you cannot curl or get some dependency, reach out. For normal use cases, like traditional package repositories like NPM, like GitHub, and all of these like services that are usually needed, these can be reached. But if you have like a custom repository or need to access third-party service, you will need to unlock the networking. Check out our docs before you start. This is the easiest way to get started. You can also, like I invite you to join our Slack community. We had some issues there, not sure if they are solved, but yeah, so you like contact Asako and she will invite you to our Slack community. You can ask questions there. Our developers are there, so our engineers, and they will help you as well. And also our open source repository. You can check it out. You can see how we build Daytona, or you can run it locally on your machine if you are curious. That's it. Thank you for coming. I'll be here if you have any questions during the hackathon. Feel free to reach out, and I'll be happy to help you. Thank you.